Hi everybody, my name is Leanne Summers. I've spent the last 20 years in the industry as an actress, and I've now sort of made the jump into what we call intimacy coordinating, which seems to be a pretty new concept here in South Africa. It's been going overseas kind of started 2013-ish with people realizing that there was a need for advocacy and facilitation on set between actors and directors. And I've made the jump into it because I feel it's very important, being an actress myself, to feel safe on set. Especially when you're doing scenes of nudity, hyperexposure, intimate sex scenes, rape, violence. As an actress myself, I have felt unsafe on set in the past. And I think that it's a really important role that we now get to step into to make sure that everybody on set, even from the crew perspective as well, that everybody feels safe, that everybody's not leaving set absolutely traumatized. Because being filmmakers, we don't film the easiest day in a person's life. Generally stories about the worst day in a person's life, their biggest traumas. And when you're stepping into that role and you're embodying that character, it's nice to have somebody there that can speak for you and speak to you and make sure that your boundaries have been set and that your personal boundaries are not being crossed. As I'm sure everybody's aware, there are power dynamics on set, and us actors are definitely people pleasers. And you want to please your director. You want to do everything that's being asked of you. And sometimes that's to your detriment. So having somebody there that can liaise and facilitate for you to make you feel safe so that you can do the best job that you can do. Because at the end of the day, we all want to make the best product. We want to make good movies. The thing with intimacy coordinating and it being such a new position is, a lot of people are on set and they're like, who is this lady? Like, who is this lady that's on set? What is she doing? Or gentleman or whoever. And to have somebody on set like that is definitely going to make the project actually run smoother. From my perspective, and I know budgets are always a thing, but if you can get your intimacy coordinator in at the casting process so that we can mitigate all the risk by doing an assessment and saying, okay, these are the scenes, this is what is required. We can speak to the director and say, what is your vision? Because we have what's in the script, but the director will also have a vision for what he wants to do with these scenes that may not necessarily be on the page. So it's our job to have that conversation and then sit and do an assessment. And then in the casting process, preferably, we can actually put out there and say, this is what is required of our actors, so that people can make an informed decision. Because at the end of the day, consent is everything. And consent is also something that can be taken away at any time. So we want to know on day one sort of what we're doing so that people can give consent, knowing always that they can take it away at a later stage. But the more information that they have and the more time we have to work with the actors and the director, the smoother things are going to go down the road. So I suppose what everybody's kind of wanting to know is the mechanics of how we do an intimate scene. Number one, again, I'm going to say it again over and over, is consent first. And then we will sit the actors down. They can have a conversation with each other about what their personal boundaries are. So for example, if you're doing an intimate scene and the actress will say, you can touch me on my shoulder, but I don't want you to touch me on my hip. That's a personal boundary for me. And the actor will then say to her, okay, I hear you. And for me, you can touch me on my face when we're doing the kissing scene, but please don't grab the back of my neck. We don't need to know why these are boundaries. That is not a question that we need to ask. We just need to accept that that is where the actors are at. And then within this safe space, they can now, with us working sort of as a choreographer, they can now, begin the scene. We will have mapped everything out and choreographed so that everybody's comfortable. And if somebody does, because it happens, and it's called an unintentional boundary cross, because sometimes people do. You're in a scene, you've moved your hand from the shoulder, you touch someone's hip, you didn't mean to. Then we can stop, we can just have a conversation about it. We can acknowledge what has happened, and then we can sort of move on, knowing that it's not going to happen again. It does make the set run a lot smoother. Another example is with kissing, we can put a boundary up because the script says you don't actually need it, and the boundary will be there before the actors just to say there's no tongues required in the kissing scenes because it's not that kind of kiss. If there is sort of a bit of tongue required, then, we have a conversation with the actors again. Again, consent is very important. And I will take that back to the casting process. It is helpful if there are absolute non-negotiables that need to be in the movie for the sake of the story and the narrative, that those are spoken about up front. If somebody is uncomfortable with something, we do try our best then to say, how do we still serve the narrative and the storytelling with a different action or a different piece of choreography so that everybody is in the loop. It also takes a bit of a pressure off the director because not all directors also come from an acting background. It is a bit of an awkward situation sometimes. I always say sex scenes look so wonderful on camera and it all looks so romantic, and it's the most unromantic thing to actually film. So, it gives also the director a bit of peace of mind that there is somebody watching out for the actors and watching the choreography, making sure that the narrative is still served, but that everybody is okay. So it is a very exciting new position. And I'm just really happy to be here today to be talking about it. Sarah Blecher and them from Safe Sets are doing incredible work. If you guys ever need any ICs, they would be the people to hit up. She's fantastic, Emil as well, and all the staff there. Please, give intimacy coordinators a shot to make your project even better than it was going to be.